Hey, Luke here from IGN, and joining me today is Simon Barlow, who's design director at Evolution Studios.
That's right.
All the way from the beautiful, slightly gloomy UK.
Hey, we've had a good summer this year.
I actually no, it wasn't bad.
It's been like this.
Yeah, it has been.
Like
Yeah,
30 degrees.
it's a long flight, so appreciate you coming down.
No worries.
But yeah, we're here to just chat some Driveclub, play some Driveclub. Myself, I've just started playing it yesterday.
Cool.
In preparation for the review, which will be coming up next week. So I'm only just sort of still on the first tier of the hot hatches, and I'm just about to move on through that. So I'm just going to queue up a race. But I just wanted to have a chat to you about the game and about its development. I guess first and foremost, I was curious to know what's the feeling like at the team now at Evolution compared to say around this time last year when Driveclub went back on the hoist and it was going to be sort of a launch, and then it's got, like I said, it got put back into the workshop.
Yeah.
Here we are a year later, and it's imminently, imminently coming out.
It's only a week away.
Yeah, it's only a week away. How's the enthusiasm? What's the story?
It's been good, to be honest, because we got to the point where, look, what we had last year was a pretty good game, right? It was we could have released something. It would have probably reviewed pretty well. It would have sold pretty well. But the vision for this game was pretty ambitious to begin with, and we felt that we hadn't quite delivered on it. And so now to finally kind of be here and look, we had so much support from kind of Sony. Like, this was our decision to delay it, and we're just lucky that they said, okay, you take what time you need. So we did. We took like an extra year, and the game is a whole extra year better.
It's really good looking.
Yes,
like,
it is.
like all other impressions aside, just purely from a visual perspective.
Yeah.
From the get-go, these little sequences, these little vignettes that you get before the race starts, you get a glimpse of just how stupidly gorgeous the worlds are. Like, I'll do one of the Norway races shortly as well, because I like the way the rocks are just coated in little dustings of snow.
Well, that's all simulated, right?
Yeah.
So this is, basically, this engine that we built wasn't built specifically for Driveclub. Like, there's elements of it that we did make specifically for Driveclub, but This is the engine that we built for PS4. This is going to last us the whole kind of lifespan of PS4, basically. So we had to try and predict the future a little bit and think, well, what are we going to need from this engine going forward for the next 8, 9, 10 years or whatever. So we've employed a whole bunch of different techniques. Like, this is a full physically based renderer. We use some elements of deferred, some else are kind of more traditional sort of forward rendering. We do multiple anti-aliasing passes. We have a full dynamic time of day system. We simulate a full atmospheric conditions.
Yep.
Like, each one of these things is like a little discrete system, and then you combine them all together, and you get that's how you create worlds that look as good as this. It's a different approach to, I guess, traditional game development, and how at Evolution Studios, even how we've done things in the past. We've tried to, I guess, recreate reality as closely as we could. Because the whole idea behind this is that you're supposed to feel immersed in it. You're supposed to feel like you stick your headphones on, or you get your wheel or your pad, and you're just lost in the game. And if any one piece of that jigsaw puzzle is missing, even the subtlest detail, if it's not quite right, you're pulled out of that experience. So that's why we went to such lengths. That's why there's so much detail gone into it and so much time and effort spent on the engine itself.
It's just like I can focus on the tiniest little things, I guess, but this is what people will look at. But even the mirrors, there's like a sharpness to even what you see in the mirrors.
Yep.
And like the reflection on the inside of the windscreen, which is kind of less visible here, but I was seeing it at various points last night, and I guess it depends on where the sun is.
Well, at night
you'll
definitely see it at night. And even it's like simple things, like in this camera on the dashboard, every single car, we simulate. Or emulate, I guess is a better word, the dashboard itself. So like on a real car, like the lights will light up as they would in real life. All the needles are in the right place. Some of these cars actually have like a Tegra chip.
Yep.
Like a tablet. Like, that's the dashboard, and we had to kind of emulate that as well. And all the lights light up correctly.
The lights look fantastic in this game.
Well, we simulate because we have a full material system.
Yeah.
So even things like the headlamp and the light clusters, like we know what the density of the plastic is because we've got the data from the manufacturer.
Yeah.
So the light changes depending on the density and the type of plastic. the type of material that's being used. So like all the headlights for each of the cars are also accurate as well. Like they look like they would do in real life, which seems crazy. And
well, it's just one of those things. If you can do it, well, there's no real reason not to, really.
Absolutely, that was the benchmark we set for ourselves, right? And we set, we would leave no stone unturned really when we were trying to recreate this.
One of the things, I mean, that struck me, and it may not strike a lot of people because the WRC games were more of a, WRC is kind of a more niche motorsport.
Sure.
But is how much I'm reminded of the sort of specialised WRC stages that you guys were kind of building back in the WRC days, and with these really interesting and like vast worlds that are covered
they got
in trees.
To like 2K we render out.
They just smack of those sort of really fun rally stages and long and beautiful rally stages that you're doing back. And this is way back in the PS2 days, and obviously the graphics have come a long way. But yeah, do you feel like, I know you guys spent the sort of the PS3 era focusing on MotorStorm, pardon me, but do you feel sort of the experience that you guys had with those rally titles, which are obviously very Eurocentric, Euro countryside centric.
Sure.
Did this help you guys a lot here?
I mean, we have a lot of veterans at the studio. We have a very low staff turnover. We tend to, people come to Evo and they tend to stick there, and so a lot of the people that work on Driveclub are the same people that worked on the WRC series. And I think when you make a game, like every studio, regardless of what your genre is, but I think it's especially prevalent in racing games. Every studio has their own signature. Like you play a particular game and you can kind of tell the studio that made that.
Yeah.
And I think when you play Driveclub, it's an Evo game. Like even if you've played MotorStorm, like if that's the only Evo game you've played, you'll pick up these cars and there's the way the vehicles are kind of connected to the environment, like dials back to what we did in MotorStorm. It's hard to not build on your heritage, and really, like if we're very proud of our heritage at Evolution, so why wouldn't we build on it? Why wouldn't we try and take everything that we'd learned, everything that we'd done in the past, and try to increase that, improve that as much as we possibly could. So this is almost like the logical conclusion, really, of the last sort of 15 years of our development.
Yeah, right. Oh goodness,
that's a tough corner, that one. Yeah. I'll be honest, I always go out on that one.
Wasn't paying attention. What I guess was the hardest thing kind of to get right here with Driveclub?
Well, the main reason why we delayed it was what we've termed the dynamic menu. I know I've had a lot of people say to me in the past, like, "What, you delayed this game for the user interface? Are you serious?" But it's not quite as obvious as that. It's not necessarily just what people see. I think what a lot of people might not realize is what sits behind the game. We utilize 3 different server architectures. Like, we have our own bespoke architecture. We use Amazon S3 storage for certain things. We use the Sony Cloud for certain things. We also have a real-time, always-on social network that we built from the ground up. That sits behind it. We have a companion app that goes with the game, and that connects to the servers. Like, all of these things are all connected. And all of these things are all part of the Driveclub experience, and they're represented through the dynamic menu. Like, that's the thing that the player interfaces with to get into the game. And like, that's a complicated beast, and it wasn't quite at the level we were happy with. Like, things just weren't quite meshing the way we imagined they would, the way we designed them to be. And so that was ultimately kind of like what sort of what prompted the delay in the first place. And I think that's really been perhaps underestimating how long it would take to iterate these systems.
Yep.
They were all largely finished last year, but that doesn't really get you to the end result. You can finish them and then spend the next 6-12 months continually sort of refining them, which is really what we've been doing. And I guess it's worth pointing out, like, this game was conceived as a service. This isn't just a one-shot, release the game and that's it, and there's going to be like a traditional DLC strategy or whatever. This is, we're hoping to evolve and grow this game, with the community. Really, we have our own vision. We have a roadmap, which when we're being pretty transparent with this, we've shared, the next 12 months of DLC with the community. But we've left space in that schedule for the community to kind of come back to us and let us know what it is that they want to see in the game. Is there more of something that they want to see, or less of something? Do they want us to take things out, just adjust things? and you know, we'll keep evolving it and keep growing it and keep iterating, I suppose. So I don't really know where it's going to go in the next 12 months. I have a rough idea, but it's a pretty exciting place to be, I think.
And listen, you guys have shown us all sort of a glimpse of how, where you're at with the weather and the weather effects on the cars, for instance, and it looks like honestly spectacular.
Thank you.
You don't have to give me a date, but like how far off how far off should fans sort of expect to see this come to the game?
We're not too far off it, to be honest.
You're talking like months or like 6 months?
It's gonna be before the end of the year.
Before the end of the year.
Yeah. The thing that we're sort of refining, like everything else in the game, and then the reason why we delayed it. It's got to be right. It's got to be absolutely spot on before we release it, and that same holds true with the weather system. The weather is. Like, it's mostly there now. Like, the optimizations have been done. Like, all the weather's kind of working. The thing that's taken a bit of time with us at the moment is actually, like, because we simulate everything to the nth degree and we get, like, all the detail in it, all the subtle detail. Every car has a bespoke wiper pattern.
Yep. So
all the wiper blades are modelled off the real-world vehicles, and they actually, they wipe moisture off the windshield in exactly the same way that they would in real life.
Mm-hmm.
And when you've got, like, there's 50 cars in the base game, there's going to be, like, another, 50 or whatever cars in the next 12 months, like, that's a lot of cars to get the wiper patterns right on. So it's just taken us that. Hey, congratulations, well done. It's a nice car. It's taken us
Dutch, isn't it?
It is Dutch, yeah. Actually, that's while we're on that subject.
Yeah.
So the cars that we picked, I just wanted to kind of pick up on this a little bit. We've gone for a real interesting mix of vehicles. Like, we've kind of hand-picked these cars for the most part.
Yeah.
There's the kind of the obvious ones like your Mercedes and your Ferraris and things like that. But things like the Spiker and the Marussia and cars like that, they're not that's so prevalent. They're not in every game. Some of them aren't in any games.
Yeah, I did want to ask about it. Yeah.
Yeah, it's and we. I guess the goal with that was to try and. Like, this game ultimately is kind of a love letter to car enthusiasts, to racing, to that kind of that passion people have for these things. And so we wanted to try and pick some of the more kind of boutique cars, if you like things like the GTA Spano, which is it's an incredible machine.
Yeah, well, that's it's not in any game that I've played recently.
No, and we only picked that. We saw it. We were at Goodwood at the Festival of Speed a few years back, and we were just walking through the paddock, and we saw this car. And we were like, "What on earth is that?" I was talking to our lead vehicle guy, and he was like, "I don't know what that is."
Yeah.
Like, let's go and talk to those guys. And we just got into a conversation with them, and they told us about the car, and I think it's like the first Spanish-built supercar. And we were like, we should totally have that in Driveclub, because that's what we're all about. It's like promoting these just really incredible machines that maybe you're not going to see too often. And
you've also got the land yacht.
Oh, the road yacht.
The road yacht. Sorry, that's right. Yeah, and it's a Danish car.
Yeah, it's I think it's. Yeah, I can't remember actually. It's it might be Swedish actually. I need to check that one.
Oh, right. And but it's like a four-door hypercar, basically.
Four-door hypercar. Yeah, cabrio as well. It's it's like a family saloon that has like whatever 800 horsepower. It's just it's a crazy machine, and you're not going to see that anywhere.
Yeah.
Unless you live in Monaco. You're probably not going to see one of those pulling up at the local corner shop.
Yeah, it is. It's quite. I mean, I think to a car guy or girl that it's quite clear the philosophy behind the cars you've chosen is definitely kind of this. These are the kind of cars that would have their own segment on Top Gear. And
sure, yeah.
They're the kind of cars you put on your poster on the wall.
Yeah.
It's kind of. I get that, but I guess maybe because we probably should wrap it up shortly, but. One last question, and it's kind of just a question of logistics, and I'm just interested to know if it's even feasible or a thing that was discussed. But with you guys, Evolution being sort of working under the Sony umbrella, and you've got Gran Turismo on the other side of the fence, sort of doing its thing. Is there any sort of possibility or discussion to the idea of sort of it's like sharing assets, it's funny, even though you guys have sort of significantly fewer cars than say something like Gran Turismo has, which is obviously famous for having thousands, or not thousands, but many cars. You do still have things like the Koenigsegg and so on and so forth that not even Gran Turismo actually has, funnily enough, and the Gumpert that you have.
The Gumpert Apollo,
yeah. But obviously, they also have a lot of cars that don't appear in Driveclub currently.
Yeah,
would things be able to go back and forth? like models, for instance. I know.
Base models potentially.
Yeah.
Like the problem we've got is that this is, in order to create this game. Like ultimately, like both are very different games, and they strive for different things. Like Gran Turismo is trying to, the reason why it's got such a huge volume of cars is because it's the self-professed real driving simulator. It's trying to, recreate as many cars as possible. Whereas this is about picking a hand-picked selection of cars, and this is more about the racing experience rather than the driving experience. The models themselves, like our cars take, they take 7 months to create from start to finish, which is an incredible amount of time for each vehicle. And they're built for the this is a custom engine, and the cars are built with that in mind. Like I think you could probably share the base assets of the car, but so much work has gone into our our shader suite that really is what lifts the cars, like from just the model itself, and also like our audio capture. We have a bespoke audio capture process where we stick upwards of 16, 17, 18 mics on each car and capture the sounds that way, and that's different to anybody else. And so it's difficult to kind of share share those assets.
It's never as easy as it sounds on paper to someone who doesn't make games, is it?
No. And but that's maybe not necessarily a bad thing. The only reason we could get this to the quality level that it's at and to do the things we're doing is by doing it ourselves, like building a bespoke engine and just constantly working into that. Yeah,
you're right. All right, well, let's wrap it up. That was some great insight there, Simon. I really appreciate you coming in.
No worries.
And I look forward to playing more of Driveclub tomorrow. So stick around for the review for Driveclub next week. Thank you again, Simon. All the best. And for everything else on Driveclub and all of this year's incredible array of driving games, stick with IGN.